If anybody gives me a hard time for uploading and or singing this, then I don't want to sing it. And if you think I'm ignorant, maybe because we have different beliefs, well, that's on you. Maybe you haven't looked into it, maybe you have, but hey, we don't have to agree on everything. Let's do this. Something's going wrong in the neighborhood. Why do we see further than we should? All around us, people unaware, lied to and deceived without a care. There simply is no curve inside. You know we don't spend all day and night. It seems they want our minds flooded with lies. If you wanna bust the globe, I know these guys. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters! Who you gonna call when the horizon flattens out? Go ahead, call them up, see what that's about. We can go around in circles trying to find this out, but if we looking for the truth, about to find it out. NASA can't go to space, so we hit the roof. Get it, hit the roof, and it all came to light with 200 proofs. Now I'm just really sick of people lying to me, so when I tell the truth, don't come crying to me. Pick up the phone, get on the line with me. Line with me. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Ghostbusters! I can't help myself. Glowbusters. Yeah. That's right. Oh, man.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters Super Flat Sunday. I am your host, Bob, Xanadude60, and lo and behold, we are back, people. It's been we've been gone for about a month. Well, yeah, just about a month now. I think this is our first show of the new year, maybe second. God, I can't even remember. That's just terrible. But anyway, we're back, and glad to be back here with everybody. And have a whole bunch of neat stuff to share today and lots going on in the community. So we will jump right into that as soon as we introduce the panel. And first up, as always, we have Jeran from Jeranism. Hey, Jeran, how you doing? Uh-oh, you're muted.
Because there's some sound coming from somewhere. I don't know where it's. There we go. I fixed it. Doing great, Bob. Thanks. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Okay, you fixed it. You had something unmuted, didn't you?
Yeah, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like going through every tab, like, where is it? Where's it coming from?
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, the more shows you add, like when you add Twitch or you add something else, it's just even more tabs that you have to monitor to make sure they aren't screaming at you. So I figured it out. We're all good.
Yeah, I started that. I got an immediate feedback when the live stream, but I don't think anybody heard it. So at least StreamYard takes care of that. But anyway, not a big deal. So I take it the family is doing good. Maverick doing good. Miss everybody.
Everybody is fantastic. No complaints. He's getting big. Definitely. We saw this baby across the street the other day, and we went over and met him. And he's like 7.5 months and looks smaller than Maverick, and he weighs less than Maverick. We're like, oh, great. So he's definitely growing, getting big, and he's got thighs like tree trunks.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be a big kid like his dad.
I think so.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing because, you know, my oldest, Brandon, his mom was Sonia, and Sonia was 5 foot tall and weighed 90 pounds, I think. And when he was born, he was, was it 10 pounds, 6 ounces? He was almost 11 pounds. It was huge for her. Obviously, they had to do a C-section because he was gigantic. But yeah, amazing. But my kids are definitely taking after my size for sure. And Yep. So there you have it. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on down to Rodrigo. How you doing, Rodrigo? We have Rodrigo Ferrari Nunez with us today. And how you doing, sir?
How's it going, Bob? How's it going, Jeran? Thank you for having me. Looking forward to see what you bringing out. Really excited. And yeah, things are going well here. We're just getting ready for bedtime. And yeah, I'm having my coffee for the evening. And yeah, let's
Awesome.
see what happens.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I noticed that when you were on Jeran on Friday, he was giving you the Perfect Attendance Award, and I think you've pretty much got that here as well.
Right.
I don't think you've ever missed a show, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm usually like this when I kind of things that I like, that I care about. Usually, I take the time to put it on. That's kind of, I don't like to say I'm going to do something and not do it. In terms of, I already do that on my own channel. I kind of very now sporadically being streaming, so it's kind of on and off.
Yeah.
So some things have to be constant. So
yeah,
I always
understand.
Enjoy the drama and the tension, and now the solutions and the resolutions. And I think we having some great shows. Not so much when it goes for 7 hours, but still, right, Jeran?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I do not know how you guys pull off 7-hour shows. That's insane. I don't think we've ever done a 7-hour show, have we, Jeran?
No, not on Globebusters. No.
No.
Yeah, just when the topic goes, and I guess it's easier when everybody's talking. Of course, doing that by yourself would be insane. But if you have other people and you start, back and forth, then it just kind of happens like a conversation. And before you know, you look down at the time, you're like, all right, we got to stop this. This is sickening.
And sometimes you try to stop. Okay, it's time to stop. Then 2 hours later, it's still going.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm not sure where Austin is. I know he's on the road with Nathan. They're doing their Clown World tour. And they, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was last night or the night before, one of the two. I think it was the night before last, they were at the Georgia Guidestones, which looks like a very creepy place. And from what I understand, it's only about an hour from my house. But I honestly don't know if I really have any desire to go see that place or not. But it is interesting, and it has a lot of lore around it. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
So that is where he was at last sighting. So hopefully he will get a chance to jump in today and tell you guys a little bit about the tour that they're doing. Of course, they were managed to get a hold of a 37 or 38-foot motorhome from a guy, Chris, and that's pretty cool. He drove it all the way across country from California, and they have already been through the Carolinas. They came through and saw us and Karen B and Dr. Law and all kinds of people, Just Jack, all kinds of people in the Carolinas, and they are headed, I believe, towards Texas at last identity. So I'm not sure. But anyway, hopefully they'll be on. But in place of Austin, we have kind of a rare treat. We have Ben, Taboo Conspiracy, with us. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing wonderful. How's everybody?
We are doing fantastic and really happy to have you with us. It's been a while since you've been on a show.
Yeah, I apologize. I just get too caught up with my family and making videos, that kind of thing. But I'm glad to be back.
Yep, awesome. Well, we're glad to have you back. And I understand you have been you've been posting some really great videos. I have to admit that. And I really, although I do have to say that I'm not exactly sure what that last one was showing. The last one that it was a repost by Sky Free or somebody like that.
Yeah, maybe it's better to watch the whole video on the Sky Free channel. But I was just posting the quick little segment where it shows the whole city skyline. Once the cool air hit it, it dropped into the horizon entirely. That part was pretty fascinating. That's why you get a lot of these what the globe supporters call curvature, but it's just the fact that the city horizons actually dropped into the horizon. It's just one of those fascinating things that they do. Sky Free does all these little experiments like that, and I just thought this was a fantastic one.
So the temperature fluctuation then absolutely has an effect, and that's right there in your face. In that particular example you say.
Right. And they were trying to test whether, I asked them to go ahead and try to test this to see if they could put a blockage in front of some distant object and cause that object to rise in front of it, like to loom is what the globe supporters would call. But it didn't loom at all. It just dropped straight down into the horizon. It is actually
the other way, as usually goes with the ballers.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that, that's the thing, and I've said that a million times. You look at refraction videos, and they claim this refraction, but the reality is, as I have tried to point out on several occasions, is on a ball, if you are looking straight forward, if the Earth is dropping away from you at 8 inches per mile squared, that means that the atmosphere is getting thinner and thinner and thinner on a level plane looking away from you, which would kind of negate the whole idea of refraction, period. Right? Now, we know there is refraction. Of course, the reason that we know that there is refraction is, well, we can see it for one, but we also know that it's there largely because the Earth is flat, and there is a buildup of atmosphere as you continuously look through it, level from your perspective point that you're looking at. But, as I've said many times, you really have to take into consideration, if we were truly on a globe, then just looking forward means that we're looking higher and higher and higher into the atmosphere, and there is no excuse for refraction that would be bringing light down to our eyes. In fact, it's completely contrary to it.
Yeah, and the fact that it can supposedly cause these bulges to just disappear with no trace. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just impossible.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, the bulges go away. And then it'll give you an horizon, way past the points of interest, and obviously miles and miles past the, supposed geometric horizon, which now I can't believe it, but the ballers are completely denying that even exists. And how they can do that is beyond me, because that's the whole model of the ball Earth, is to have a physical horizon, right? And now they're saying, well, no, you can't see that. And it's like, alrighty then, talk about moving the globe posts.
Hey, do you mind if I share my screen for a little bit? I just want to talk about a little bit what I did last night.
Absolutely. I would love to see it. So go ahead and share it, and I'll present you.
Let's see if this works. Awesome. Sorry, I'm a little slow on this system. Is everybody seeing? Okay.
Not seeing it. You just hit the share, and then I don't know if you want to share an entire screen or a tab.
Don't forget the audio, right? Share with audio.
Oh, maybe? Share audio. Okay.
Yeah, if there's audio
entire screen. Okay, there it goes. I have to click on it. Now, if I go to, do you see the photo I'm looking at?
Let's see. Let me add it to stream. I do.
Yes.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, so this is. I had to. This was actually not an easy thing to do. I wanted to see if I could get further than 21 miles. I don't know if anyone else saw that video where I did a laser test at 21 miles. That one wasn't so hard to get to. It took me maybe an hour and a half hike, but this one was hard because I actually had to wade through a canal to get here. And so it's, early February, the wind's blowing. I was frozen out there by the time I got this photo.
I'll bet.
But this is 36 miles away. The light on top is the Kennecott smelter stack. I'll compile this all into a better video when I can. But the light on top is the Kennecott smelter stack, and it's about 1,000 feet tall. I'm guessing offhand. But what I'm mostly interested in are the lights below it. These are all just the building lights next to it. They're, maybe 100 feet, but this should be 730 feet should be hidden. I did catch the laser. On the other side, there was a laser. It's so fast that I am unable so far to actually grab a screenshot of it, but several times it passes in front of the screen. But when you're at those distances, just that slightest movement, you can see it for just a flash of a second. And so I did catch the laser another 5 feet away. It was at 5 feet height. I'm at my camera's at 5 feet height. Again, 730 feet should be hidden. That's like a skyscraper. That's bigger than I think every building in Denver. That's just crazy. I mean, this curvature simply doesn't exist.
No,
anyway.
It absolutely does not exist. And of course, we know that. And I think a lot of people that, have any common sense and look at this with an unbiased attitude or with an open mind can see that that's the case. And, also what they can see is how hard the ballers try to obfuscate, that very fact. By either calling us stupid or we're flirpers or we're dumb or, whatever, or we don't understand things. And that's their game. And ours is just simply bringing all this photographic evidence, lasers, long distance telescope shots, all of this stuff, right to the table and offering the science behind it. And that's something that the flat earthers do that globe earthers unfortunately cannot do because, well, there is no curvature and the earth is not rotating. So there you have it. So you said it was 35 miles. Is that correct?
Yeah,
then?
35 to 36 miles to the Kennecott smelter stack. So that would put that hidden at 730 feet. But the lights in front of it, maybe you could say 25 and a half miles. So 700 feet should be hidden. I mean, those buildings, maybe 30, 40 feet off the ground, some of them. So, and I could see the laser at one time, like I said, that would put it at just 5 feet above the water. I mean, that's huge. There's just absolutely no curvature, but it does get to a point where you just can't get any further, where that laser is just this tiny little blue speck in the distance, and you have to get at the right angle to catch it.
Have people tried using some sort of scope connected to the laser, like a sniper sort of thing? Would that help? I don't know.
It'd probably help, but it's mostly knowing where to point it exactly at the opposing person, and you need some sort of reference to point it directly at them. So that makes it pretty hard for them.
And night is much more difficult, no?
Right.
Yeah, you move it just any direction. Obviously, the way it moves on the opposite side is huge, right? So you just a millimeter on your side, and over there it moves 20 feet. So it becomes, yeah, exactly. It gets quite difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it also proves the point that you're looking at the source. I mean, if you look at it at sideways, or if the laser's pointing up, or in a different direction, you cannot see it. You can only see that source when the source is pointed right at you. So they're trying to say that source is somehow hopping the curvature. It's just, utter nonsense.
But in a way, you don't need the laser if you have these lights on the ground. You can measure your distance to them, right?
Right. It's hard to pinpoint which ones are which, but I could probably figure some of it out. But I'll have to do that.
What's the one to the right, like to the far right?
Dave Weiss is asking if those lights are further on the right.
Oh, on the right? Yeah, these are just highway lights that go along that area. I don't know if anyone knows that, but that highway is just almost right there along the edge of the Great Salt Lake. So these are just highway lights.
Is this looking north, going north?
I'm at what is called Promontory Point. I'm looking south.
South. Okay, so the Wasatch Front's on the left.
Right. Salt Lake City would be on the far left. And I have, lots of videos and stuff. Let me show you a different one. That's where...
Looking at the west side, essentially, right, towards the Salt Flats kind of thing.
Oh, here. This is where I'm on the... Oh. This is on the road before I start walking down there to the beach. And you can see the smelter stack much better. But... yeah, it was a exciting experience to go ahead and walk through the water and everything. But that's so far, 35 miles. But anyway,
that's insane. That is really, really amazing. And of course, Mike Kavanaugh had to invent that, and I forgot what he called it now. The device. We had an acronym for it, and I completely spaced what it's called. But basically, mounted the laser on it, and we had a super fine stepper motor on it that we could just move it like a few microns, to the left or to the right, and it is amazing. Just one stepper motor click, and it would move it 10 feet.
Wow! Even with the motor, you say, even with the tiny.
Yeah, when you're trying to do some of the distances that we were doing across Balaton. Salad, that's what it is. Karen B says it's a salad. The super accurate laser aiming device. That's what it was.
Yeah, yes, the other problem I had was that I didn't have any cell phone service. And if you don't have cell phone service, it makes it so much harder because you can't, like I have videos of lights over there, but I can't pinpoint it and say, is that you? You know, can you turn your light off? Things like that. That just made it kind of impossible for me to do that. So I'm lucky that I caught anything, but I could see all the way to the bottom of that smelter stack. To me, that's just absolutely globe impossible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as they all are. And, you know, and these are some of the best proofs ever, you know, and I'm kind of curious, you know, I think that's probably most people's, you know, biggest claim is, you know, what is your biggest proof for flat Earth? And most people will say that we simply see too far. And these are fantastic examples of that. And yet I have yet to see one example of a ball Earth claim that actually held to scrutiny. Whereas if, you know, they were claiming, oh, well, okay, this goes perfectly along with ball curvature, and that's the limit of your vision, that, you know, you couldn't come back a day or two later when the conditions, the atmospheric conditions have changed, and you can see way beyond that, right? So there is no consistent ball evidence, you know, and there is very consistent flat Earth evidence. And, you know, nobody is denying the fact that, you know, refraction conditions changes, atmospheric conditions change. But for the most part, you know, if there was a physical obstruction there, if there was a physical horizon, as the ball Earth must have, then you would never be able to see over it. And again, because of the very nature of the ball Earth dropping away as you look level away from you, you are getting into a thinner and thinner atmosphere, which will never pull light down. In fact, it would tend to do anything but that. And yeah, it goes the other way. And we've seen that example several times on FE Core, you know, demonstrations, and you know, where the laser is actually going up. And it's like, you know, that just makes absolutely no sense on a ball Earth. So crazy stuff. Whoops. And Taboo, did you drop out again? What happened here?
Am I sharing my screen again?
Yeah, there you are. You're back.
Do you see the little blue dot? That is the laser at just a fraction of a second. You don't see it every time on the video, but at several places you'll see that blue dot just show up. And that's how far away it is. That's what's crazy. I mean, I don't know if I could get any further than that.
Yeah, no, not without maybe even more power. How many watts was that laser? 3 or 1?
Sorry, I don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult because, you know, you have the beam divergence you have to deal with, and, you know, on some of the cheaper lasers, like the ones that I got and the one I think that Jeran we got from Luck Laser, they had a pretty horrendous beam divergence to, where was it, Jeran? You were getting like at about a mile, it was like 6 feet, or was that a couple miles? There's a 6 feet beam divergence.
4 miles, it was 10.
Oh, that's not too bad, but it's still pretty bad.
The size that the beam gets to become.
Yeah, and once it's that big too, it's kind of not even really measurable, right? Because it kind of snows out towards the end. I mean, you wouldn't even know where to stop measuring the light.
Right.
So it's, you know, hard to say 10 feet. It's not like you could draw a perfect 10-foot diameter circle.
Right. It has no edge. The edge is all blurred out.
Right. So it's about 10 feet. It's probably actually more than that. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And all right. And yes. So we got David and Karen's comments out of the way. Beautiful. And all right. So that's awesome, Ben. So are you going to go out and do any more this spring, or anything coming up that you're going to be doing any more tests on?
I actually, it's kind of a hobby of mine. So yeah, I'll be out there again. But as far as distance on long water, I don't think I could get further than that. That's, you know, maybe I could have done some exposure photos, something that might help that a little bit. But unless I have something much more powerful. But
that's true.
Yeah, but I'll always still be out, just still filming, because I think it's a lot of fun.
What the camera are you using?
I'm still using a P900. I'm old school.
Yeah, that's pretty bad when the P900 is old school, huh?
Don't you guys have the infrared 1000, Jeran and Bob?
I have the 1000. Actually, it used to be Jeran's, and we traded because Jeran wanted to be able to adapt the 900 for infrared, and we couldn't do that with the P1000. So he and I made a swap, and now I have the 1000.
Right. And I've got the 900 infrared.
How's that working? Can you see pretty far with that?
Yeah. I mean,
is the focus a problem?
Yeah, I mean that because you have to do it's all manual at that point, so it just becomes difficult, and you have to do like custom white balancing. There's a lot of extra steps, but I like it.
It's a pain.
It's kind of a pain. I haven't used it really since Salton Sea is for doing tests yet.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a pain to do the manual focusing on the P900 or the P1000. Neither one of them are really very good, but
is it digitally they have to do it pressing a button? It's not by hand, or is it with a ring that you manipulate in your hand?
Well, you put it in a mode and then you manipulate the ring,
Right,
but
okay.
you have to put it in the manual focus mode. And like I said, it's really, really tricky. It's just not intuitive at all.
Mm-hmm.
But such is life. That's the way it goes. So awesome.
You have to have a very sturdy tripod to just hold the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. My God, I could not believe, the P1000 is so much bigger than the P900. It's ridiculous. I was thinking that they were going to be pretty much the same size. No way.
Yeah, because I was using the P1000 for a while, and then when I got the P900 from you, I was like, oh my goodness, it looked like a little point and shoot piece of junk. And when you get it, the first time you get it, you're like, wow, this thing's huge. But yeah, the P1000 is enormous, and if you don't have a $150 or $200 tripod, then the thing just kind of shakes the whole time.
Exactly. And I've got a $300 tripod, and I think it's not stable enough. It's just so heavy. It was barely sufficient for the P900, I thought, but that's the way it goes. But Nikon, I'm sure, is going to keep coming out with stuff like that unless the government offers them incentive not to. But regardless, there's still going to be incredible telephoto lenses that are out there that will even surpass that, but not at the budget cheap price that the P900 and P1000s are at. So, que sera. So, okay. Well, let's see. What else do I have? So, Jeran, are we going to be doing a Patreon stream today?
Yeah, I'm doing one today and then next Sunday as well, just because I wanted to split them up because I didn't know if people were going to be busy with Super Bowl. Obviously, I couldn't care less, so I'm going to do it this week and then also next week, which is Valentine's Day. And people can either attend both or none or one, whatever they want. So yeah, 3:30 today Pacific time.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. And yeah, I was going to cut, today a little bit short for that because I know you wanted to do that. And also we have the Globebusters patrons as well. And, we've got a few more of those that are coming on board, which is nice because honestly, guys, you're not going to believe this. So you guys know that I removed the content because, right around the first of the year, because I was, afraid of basically the same thing that Jeran was afraid of. I didn't have any strikes, but I knew that YouTube is just basically looking for reasons to take channels down. So, and I was also under the impression that Lighthouse was going to be coming online. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is cool. I can get everything uploaded to Lighthouse. And of course, that's become a delay. I'm sure that they are facing all kinds of trouble with the powers that be that don't really want to have a truth network online. And so they're trying to get all their ducks in a row and keep themselves from being attacked, on a legal standpoint by the big boys like Google and YouTube and stuff like that. But anyway, so I removed all that content and I was thinking, well, this is great because when I come back, I can actually kind of change the content a little bit so that it doesn't get under their radar as far as being strictly flat earth based type stuff. And I would be able to at least get super chats and stuff like that. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks after I removed all the content, I get a notice from YouTube that says that they demonetized me again, not only on Globebusters, but on Globebusters 2 because of reused content. Well, Globebusters 2, I can understand that. But when Globebusters didn't have any content on it, I'm just thinking, now they're just being mean, right? They're just being jerks to do this. So, there went that type of any hope of any income there. And I'm not sure if they're ever going to give it back. They do seem to, take it away and give it back and take it away and give it back. But I don't know why they are doing that with us, especially when claiming that we're reusing content when nothing could be further from the truth. It's just really sad.
Yeah, it's a very definition of original content.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So yeah, and so basically, the past, I guess I should probably also talk about, why I have not been on for a while. And a lot of it is because, I'm just, been a little concerned, been a lot concerned, like I think all of us are, about what's going on in the world. It's just getting so Orwellian. It's sad. It really is. And, they're putting stuff out there in the media, and I think a lot of it is absolutely meant to put people on a roller coaster ride, just like with all the people that are behind Trump. 1 minute there's going to be all these mass arrests, and all these good things are supposed to happen, and then nothing happens, and then oh well, that's because Biden was forced into going. I mean, all these ridiculous claims that people keep buying into over and over and over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. And it just I was following along with that for a while, and it's like and being on the roller coaster, both emotionally and in every other way. And it's just like they're doing this on purpose.
Not quality of life to have, right?
Exactly. So I just came to the conclusion that they're going to do what they're going to do. I do know that usually the bark is a lot worse than the bite. And they're still trying to do a lot of, crazy Orwellian type of things. Just like, I don't know if you guys knew about the new federal, gun bans that they're trying to introduce, not bans, but, qualifications. And, you see stuff like that, and it's like, man, they're just literally trying to take away the Second Amendment. But then you see things that are positive, like, states like, what is it, Missouri? I think it's Missouri, that has a bill in front of the House that is basically saying we're not going to obey any federal legislation about guns, right? So it's like, it's just crazy to watch all the stuff that's happening right now. And it's really taking everybody on a roller coaster ride. And, like I said, I would be lying if I said it didn't affect me, because it most certainly did. And, at one point I was just sitting there saying, is this even worth it? And, I think ultimately, getting the truth out there is worth it. But we have to really, really be careful as to what we buy into, that's being put out there for us to consume. Right. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you'll literally get eaten up by it, Yeah. So
it's all over the place, and it's whether it's mainstream or non-mainstream, or people fighting over. You see what it did to imagine, compare just 2020 with a few years, 2016, 2017, when there wasn't such a thing to divide people, and what happened in terms of content makers kind of going at each other and all this other stuff, right? Even though there was always drama, right? There's always going to be theater and drama, but this issue really put a mess, all kinds of things up, right? That all kinds of plans that people had. So
yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so yeah, so that's part of the reason why I was gone. Also, I've been trying to figure out a format that will kind of work where I don't like doing the 3-hour shows. I know a lot of you people out there do like those shows, but honestly, they are really difficult to do, and it's difficult to come up with 3 hours worth of content, to try and drive a show. And Jeran knows this better than anybody, even though you're really good at it, Jeran. But I think in your particular case, you will wind up in like a religious discussion. And that is where I don't want to go. And it's nothing against the religious people, but it's like that when you go there, it's like nobody agrees on anything, and it always turns into this incredible debate. And it's just something that I think is a no-win scenario, honestly, and it's not where I want to go with it. So
it totally is. I see what you're saying, but I also see the reasons why Jeran is interested. I'm also interested in kind of the views that people have and how they try to explain what they believe in stuff. And it's always kind of, it does go that direction because people have their emotions invested in a lot of it. And I don't know. Yeah, it gets, yeah, it's, I guess you can call it a bit of fun from time to time, but I know what you're saying. It's also, there's just so much material out there. In my opinion, there's just so much stuff to cover that is so interesting, that requires attention for analysis, that there's no point in fighting with anybody. People have to take whatever they can take, and then let everyone be themselves, have their own minds, and that's, for me,
Exactly.
that's what's important. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is something that is a really, it's a very hot topic. And, as it is already, I have enough trouble with people, trying to tell me, that I need to be the sheriff of flat earth and police people and tell them what they can and cannot do, which frankly, I cannot believe this, people. I'm not going to mention any names, but my God, there are people out there literally trying to tell me that this is my job
Sheriff.
and I'm supposed to do this. Yeah, I'm supposed to be Sheriff Bob of the Globebusters, and I'm supposed to tell everybody what they can and can't say. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I'm supposed to be deputy, who's supposed to talk to the sheriff about what he needs to be doing, because obviously I'm not doing my job if I don't. I'm not kidding either. You think that's a joke?
No, we're not kidding.
What's in your job description, man? Are you following all the steps? Have you talked to your supervisor and made sure that you're doing everything all right? Like, come on.
Oh man, it's so crazy. And and I just don't get it. I really don't. It's like, look, Jeran and I have always said, what we put out there is our opinion, and if you want to rate us on that, great, because we're either going to stand by it or we're going to retract it or something. But when we are charged with being responsible for other people's content and what they put out on their flyers and on their channel, and literally being criticized, to that degree, for not, being the sheriff in Dodge City, it's just ridiculous. So, like I said, it's hard enough doing that, and I want nothing to do with that. But anyway, so getting back to, where I want this to go is, I want to do more shows. And I want to, like have some shows where, we might have a guest on and I think I want to keep them more along the lines of an hour, type of stuff. Have somebody on for an hour, like do a guest show. Or I personally have been thinking that, I like to do presentations, and I was thinking something that would be really cool is to have somebody on that specializes in a specific viewpoint on flat Earth, like for example, maybe LC King, right? Lucas King, who talks about the Earth being a battery, and he has his model for that. In a lot of ways, I agree with that, because I see this as an electrical construct type of thing. And then we could do like presentations, like that. I also like to discuss philosophy, about the flat Earth, and Rodrigo is a really good person, to discuss things like that with. And I mean, I just really feel like there's a lot of different places that we can take this that doesn't necessarily have to put us right in the crosshairs of YouTube's, flat Earth police, where they're going to, try and take us down all the time. And believe me, I still want to get the hell off of YouTube. But as it is right now, we've got 61,000 subscribers on YouTube, and this is the best place, if for nothing else, to at least let people know where we're going to be. And because of the fact that we are unable to monetize either on the Globebusters or Globebusters 2 channel, that we would be relying on Patreon and PayPal type of donations, stuff like that. And and I've never really, donations have never been that big of a deal for me. But since obviously we moved to South Carolina, I'm in kind of a semi-retirement condition. And even though we're doing fairly well and we own the house and all that stuff, you still need money to eat and stuff like that. And I don't even mind going out and getting a part-time job. And Jeran and I, my son Jeran and I, were thinking about doing like, some small computer business type stuff on the side. But so like anybody else, I'm just looking, for ways that, I can keep going on what I love to do. And that is, talking about technical things, flat Earth, stuff like that, and not have to be dependent on the YouTube police and, what everybody else is telling me I can and cannot do. And I think we're all pretty much in that same boat. But So that's kind of where I'm trying to take it. But I think that if we go to a shorter format and have more of a diversity, like Ben and I still have a guy, and I feel so bad about this that we need to talk to him. Is he still around, Ben? Do you remember who I'm talking about?
The ex-military official person who's talking about the bombers and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still around. I hope we can do something with him soon.
I do too. And like I said, I just let it get to me, right? So, I have no excuse for that.
The last really good one was sorry, Ben.
It gets to us all. I mean, it's been so disheartening to see what's been happening with society right now. I to be honest, it's been so hard with my children. I don't even know what to tell them, what kind of world that they're growing up in.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's it too. I mean, I look at my kids, and it's like, I'm 60. I've had a fairly decent life. I can't complain. In fact, I've had a great life, but your kids are just starting out, and Jeran's son is just starting out, and my God, where it looks like this world is heading. Oh man.
They're going to try to force us all to get this new genetic modification injection. And I mean, that's frightening. Absolutely frightening. I mean, they're trying to force it on everybody, the children, and employers are starting to enforce it. I don't know. I'm really worried. I'm going to have to live in the mountains or something soon. I don't know.
I know. Well, the only thing I can say about that, Ben, and there are a lot of people that are wise to that and are waking up more. And this is the part where you don't necessarily have to be online or have an online platform to share information like that. Oh, hey, speak of the devil, there's Austin. But you don't have to have a YouTube channel like that. And hey, Austin, how you doing? Oops, you there?
He's muted.
Okay, well, he's muted. I'll wait for him to come on here for a second. Anyway, okay, but yeah, we can talk to each other and talk in private. And I think a lot of people, and this is where it comes into the idea of, people can relate to what's going on because obviously we're all part of it. We're all feeling the effects of it. And, we can talk to other people. And I think that there's so many people out there that, do not want to take the jab, especially the large majority of the medical industry. I mean, they're just saying like, no way. Right. And, you just gotta keep going like that. Obviously they're not going to allow us to use their platforms to spread that message. So be it, right? Whatever. But yeah, I'm 100% with you, Ben. It's just freaking scary what the world is turning into. And I think that, hopefully there will be a point where it mellows out a little bit, because right now I just see us in a spiraling dive, And
pretty scary what's going on. I agree with you, Bob. I mean, and the thing is, you talked about religion earlier, and I was saying on a recent show that, now I understand why when I grew up, my parents told me not to talk to people about religion and politics. At first, I never really understood what that was. Like, that's the one thing we should be talking about. But really, the reason behind that is because you can't change people's minds about religion and politics. It's just something that they're going to argue about till the end of time. It's just the way it goes. So, realizing that and realizing that they are doing a lot of setups and a lot of gaslighting. And if we fall for it, they're getting exactly what they want. That's the intent behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was the same way. It's like, what are you talking about? Religion and politics, those are two of the biggest things that affect all of our lives. Of course we should be talking about them. Right. But, they are as dogmatic as, the disbelief in flat earth, right? It's just something that, people have their take on it and don't mess with it, It's
interesting because you can totally have a completely analytical take on both those subjects where your point is really not to be involved emotionally. That's absolutely possible, but it's not the usual thing you find, right? It's not very common, but it's how I see it. I'm fascinated by aspects of religion, but I've written extensively against orthodoxy in general, orthodoxy of all kinds. And that's one of the ways I developed my way of thinking. So, that's just my way, but I understand.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can y'all hear me?
Yep,
Awesome.
we hear you. Hey, Austin.
Hey, how's it going? My bad. I took a nap and accidentally overslept.
Oh man, that's rough. So where are you?
Took a nap.
Yeah,
Biden or-
we're in Atlanta, but staying outside Zen Garcia's posted up, and then we're going to Ocala tomorrow. We're heading out.
Oh, cool. Zen Garcia. So have you seen Zen?
Yeah, we've been talking all day. Dude just ladles gravy like it's nothing.
Yeah, he does. He's an amazing guy. I really liked him. Met him at a couple of the conferences, and he's just a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, no
So-
doubt. Yeah, flat earthers are awesome, man. Always showing hospitality, and then like their everyday conversations is just gravy, you know.
Yep. And by the way, I'm hearing myself in the background, or I was. Now it's gone. Okay. So you got rid of your echo problem. So, okay, cool. So yeah, we were just, talking about the normal stuff, and Ben was showing us some pictures that he did a 35-mile laser observation at Salt Lake City, and the normal stuff. And also we were talking about why we haven't been around in a while, and some potential changes to the show and stuff. And yes, David, I know I've been sharing a black screen for 10 minutes. I'm getting ready to share a video that David sent me today. And he sent it to me. He goes, yeah, I tried to get the Super Bowl guys to play this, but they didn't have room. They were sold out or whatever. Like they're going to play a Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app commercial. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just play that right now, so we can all watch that really quick, and then David can be happy, and I can go back to another screen share. So, without further ado, guys, this is the new Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app commercial that he just put out, and let's go ahead and give it a listen. Here we go, guys.
The Flat Earth, Sun, and Moon Clock app. A dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app with new added features. World time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth, and clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.
Awesome. Well, that was cool, David.
Super cool.
Really good. That's
Yeah.
excellent. Who's doing the voice?
Well, I don't know. He said that that's his real voice, and he hires a voiceover to do the Jewish nasally voice for his interviews.
Not true. Talk to him. Talk to him.
That is hilarious.
Very good.
Okay, but yeah, that was really good, David. That was really quite excellent. They should have put that on the Super Bowl, I think. And yeah, speaking of which, who's playing? Is it like Kansas City and somebody
Tampa
else?
Bay.
Tampa
Yeah.
Bay. That's crazy. I haven't even been paying attention to that at all. I think the last time I paid attention to football was when I predicted that the Broncos were going to go all the way like 4 or 5 years ago, and that was the last time I think I even watched it. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't keep up with it at all either. I didn't even know the two teams until like a day ago, and I freaking used to be obsessed with football. Played football in college and everything. But once you start to realize that everything's just like a circus and a distraction, you have to unplug even from things that seem innocent like that.
Yes. Somebody would have told me a few years back, there'll be times in the future where during the Super Bowl you'll be doing a live stream for people and not caring about the game. I've been like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm really not going to watch the Super Bowl, sure. But
It's being played in an empty stadium? What's the deal?
no, they're going to have like 25,000 people.
Yeah, and it's actually, of course, Superb Owl, right? Spelled the same, but it's not. So we live in a Super Bowl, but
Right?
it's Superb Owl. It's like, of course, Moloch,
that's right. That's
Bohemian
bizarre.
Grove,
Yeah, I never
shall
thought of that.
sacrifice God. Then that's why I do the crazy stuff at halftime. We thought about going to Tampa just to like tell people that as they tried to go into the Super Bowl and like flat smack them, but we're like, nah, it's too out of the way, But it's just pretty interesting. It's a giant occultic ritual.
Oh yeah, they'd probably bomb you out of the stadium because there's just a bunch of mega zombies that go there. These people are so far under. I'd be scared to even go there.
Yeah, and they're basically their religion, So
Yeah. I've been to riots in Brazilian stadiums, in there, and seen people getting beaten up and stones being thrown and bottles of beer in the field with players in it. Yeah, pretty wild. The 90s in Brazil was wartime for fans of different teams in football and soccer. Hooligans.
Crazy. So you guys, Austin, were at the Georgia Guidestones night before last. Is that right?
Yes. And then we went back the next day and got some drone footage of the top and stuff in the daytime. But yeah, we got out there like 3:00. Everything's completely pitch black except the light that shines and lights up the stones themselves. Super eerie, really quiet, pitch black, except for that little isolated area. We were out there by ourselves, so we got to. I walked straight up to that hole. As soon as we pulled up, I walked straight to the hole that's lined with Polaris. That was the first thing I went and looked at. And I looked in there, and very easily you can only see one star in its Polaris right in the middle of that circle instantly with the naked eye. Not a problem at all. And it's the only star you can see in that circle. So then we set up the P1000 to take the time lapse of the star trail centered to that hole with Polaris in the middle. And we got a really beautiful time lapse. And then we just kind of went around, read what was going on, which I think is just basically saying that they want to unite under one language like it used to be. And that's what this is all about. And of course, that center pillar is a clock calendar. The clock is because every day at noon, the sun will be directly over that slit that's cut in the top, right? The calendar is there's a horizontal slot on the pillar, and the solstice every year will line up perfectly on that solstice day, so you'll know when to start the calendar. And then, of course, the compass is how you would know where to go or where north is by looking at Polaris. So it's a compass, clock, and calendar in that pillar in the middle. And this could only work on a geocentric stationary Earth, right? So, like, the hundreds of thousands of dollars I spent on this thing would be worthless. It wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't be accurate if the Earth weren't a geocentric stationary Earth. So it's like, it's not like they really hide it. They put this out in front of everybody.
Yeah. And what's amazing is, of course, the identity of the guy, the RC, whatever the hell his name was, has actually been discovered. And it turns out that it was a doctor. And they did there's a whole YouTube video out that came out on it. But this guy was a definite eugenicist and, was big time into, saying we've got to control the population of the earth, and had questionable associations and stuff like that. So I'm sure that that's where all the financing for this came from. But yeah.
Don't they say it's like Rosicrucians and stuff?
Yeah. Well, the story is RC Christian because he's a Christian. That was the pseudonym. And so they admit it's a pseudonym. Like when you go there, right? They tell you they don't tell you like this isn't really who built it. It's just when you go there, it's a little bit different than seeing online for me at least, because you get to see exactly how precise those things are. These are high quality precision tablets. These are not. This isn't some troll. It's like incredibly precise, right? When you go fill the grooves. So this right here there's a reason this happened. Like they gave you a fake name. I wouldn't even be surprised if they gave fake backup stories.
So
right?
how do you figure it out here? How does it work? Like with the angles and stuff? You stand in a place and
yeah, like it's real simple, bro. So like there's these 8 main languages that people use right now, right? The screen showing English right now. Then on the top capstone is 4 edges, and it goes from Babylonian cuneiform to Egyptian hieroglyphics to Sanskrit and then to ancient Greek. And then that breaks off into these 8, right? So the first one was the Babylonian cuneiform, which is, of course, when everyone had the same language. And in the middle of those is one pillar, right? And then there's a hole that's cut at an angle, slanted up, and it lines up perfectly with Polaris. You just look through it, and you'll know where north is because Polaris will be isolated in the hole. And there's a slit horizontally on the other side of the pillar where when you look through, you can track the sun throughout the year, and you'll know when the solstice is because it'll line up perfectly in that horizontal slit because it's cut with such precision at the angle that it's effectively a calendar. And then right up at the top of the pillar, there's a slit in the top where at 12 noon, the sun's directly over it, so it would be a clock. And this is all on that one single pillar, right? This is why they're so obsessed with stones, in my opinion. And then, you know, masonry is, of course, stonework, because literally with one stone pillar, you know, you can keep up with everything that goes on cyclically in the sky because it's reoccurring. See, that's the Polaris hole right there. Yeah, which the camera couldn't pick it up, you know, but the naked eye, it's so incredibly easy to see, bro. It's wild.
The Mayans had kind of similar things as well. They do that. The pyramid in Chichen Itza has that sun hitting it in a perfect angle to make the snake go down the stairs. You know, and then some other small towns have exactly the same idea. In the solstice, or the equinox, I think, the sun crosses the entire town actually through a slit that cuts through actually the homes. Really. Never seen that before. It's pretty odd. It's the same kind of idea.
Wow, yeah, dude. Because I was doing a lot of research in a bunch of these ancient civilizations that we were clearly lied to about, and the way they built their civilizations were oftentimes literally engineered around like the solstice being visible throughout the whole city in certain ways, and certain gates and certain angles, and we just no one even knows. You know, oh, they're just stupid to put stones out there.
Angkor Wat also has that in it. Like in Angkor Wat, the way the sun comes down, it goes like right into place exactly in the temple. Kind of hits. It's pretty insane there too. That's a pretty amazing one. That I think has more than 4 kilometers of frescoes, or not frescoes, but carvings with the story.
Yeah. Of course they don't know how to read it, even though it's like pictographic and very simple, just like they gravelled Hebrew. But what's so crazy about this, y'all have heard the story about how there's like supposedly a blood stain on top of this thing?
Right.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, so we were like, you know, apparently no one even has thought to take a time lapse through the hole on Polaris, so we'll do that. And of course, it takes 2 flat earthers to go out and do this, right? So then the next thing we did during the day, we took that drone, we flew it over the top, and we got incredibly close in 4K to see the stain and the scratches all around it and know exactly what's on top of that thing. We have high definition close up 4K footage of what's on top. There is a stain, right? And so, we can show everyone that. So the video that we're going to put together that we compile from Georgia Guidestones is going to be super awesome for sure.
God, that's just creepy, isn't it?
It is, dude. It really is. Especially when you pull up on that street at night, bro, because everything is pitch black, you know? And it gets so crazy. The synchronicities in this trip are mind-blowing. That's, of course, because Yah is real. But so we pulled on the street during the day, and there was this older man in a vehicle just stopped at the stop sign on the street. And then Nathan, decides to roll the window down and say something to him. And he's like, hit your glasses. So, now my glasses are recording. And Nathan's like, so did you just leave the Guidestones? Did you know that this only works if the Earth's flat, et cetera, et cetera? He ends up saying, I actually know a lot about the Guidestones. I got something for you guys. He pulls out this white box. Bro, creepy vibe. Like, what is this dude pulling out, you know? And he pulls out a business card and said that his dad's the one that took the order and built them. Gives us the business card and tells us to contact him if we have any questions. We crossed paths with that guy on that street before we got there. Isn't that wild?
That's insane.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy. So we're going to call him and try and get some more details.
Yeah, actually, I saw him on that documentary.
We got some good flat smack videos there that people were pretty open.
Yeah, I saw him on the documentary that was, exposing who R.C. Meisty was. Mm-hmm. And, they were interviewing all the people, the townspeople and stuff like that. And the guy whose dad took his order, that guy didn't look like he was playing with a full deck to me, but I don't know. I don't know what your impression of was him in person, or maybe it was one of the other brothers, but he just seemed kind of weird.
I'm not, if you're talking about that guy, like the guy that we came across, like, did he come across kind of weird?
Yeah.
Yes. You know, like, it was the weirdest thing ever, bro. Like, literally, Nathan turned and looked at me. We were both thinking the same thing. Like, what is about to happen? This dude is like out of a movie, creepy. But he just handed us a business card and said that his dad like freaking built those things.
He's just standing there at night. You said
We went at night and we came back the next day, and he's in his truck, an older gentleman sitting at the stop sign. It's like he was just waiting on us, bro. It's so weird. We turn on that street, and then we sit there and talk for a few minutes, and he tells us, you know, you got any questions about the person that literally built this? Here's a card. But he was just, he was weird. He was kind of creepy, but he doesn't know much, right? His dad was just, you know, the one that took the construction order, like contracted to help get it, you know. And there's tons of granite in Georgia. 3 miles or so down the street, they're known for having this tons of granite. And that's why they said they chose this area, was the granite and the climate. That's what I'm reading here on the screen. So, which is obviously just nonsense. There's something way deeper to that. There's something way more important to the United States continent, or more so the country on this continent and this continent as a whole, right? We've been lied to about it, but it is no coincidence that what I consider modern Babylon was built here, right? You go to the Grand Canyon, which me and Zen were talking about this. Like, they found Egyptian hieroglyphs down in the bottom of that thing, and there was like a huge amount of like, there's like a civilization, like an advanced civilization.
Places with names, Egyptian names still now, but those areas are all kind of out of bounds or whatever since whenever they reported, because it reports it for 19 teens, right? If I'm not mistaken. Do you remember?
I'm not familiar. 19 what?
19 teens, like in 10, 11 or something like that. Because as far as I understand that, people went there and they reported the Egyptian findings at that time in 1910, 1912 or something like that. And then later that's been out of bounds and nobody's managed to confirm that, because you can't get there. It's like in the middle of a freaking canyon. You have to go down, and
you're not allowed to go all the way down too, because like I've never seen them, bro, and that's one of the things I'm definitely wanting to see on this trip. And we'll try, right? But I've heard that they don't let you go all the way down, which, I mean,
you can go down. I think you can go down. I'm not sure now how it is. You used to be able to go down some trails, but you have to be ready to I'm not sure it's easy to come out. Once I got lost in Canyonlands with a friend of mine in an area of Canyonlands. It's called Island the Sky. We went down the trail to the canyon towards Colorado or the Green River, because the confluence of the two rivers is there. And we took the wrong road. We were supposed to take a left back towards Moab. We took a right and we had to go around the whole island in the sky. We had to spend the night in a freaking car. And in the morning in the snow, we barely managed to come out, because we had to still get up. There were cars falling down the canyon and stuff. It was crazy. We thought we were going to die. Like, we thought we were never going to make it. We tried to burn the bushes even, and my friend even tried to put the alert on the car, but it was just with the most beautiful sky we've ever seen, of course, with the next town being over 100 miles away. But it's really easy to get lost in those places, and it's quite dangerous.
Yeah, there's some amazing stuff down in the Southwest there in Grand Canyon area in general.
The whole thing is incredible. Anywhere you go there, I've been to a bunch of places in Utah, like Horseshoe Canyon and different parts of Canyonlands. There's the Maze, which is incredible. There's wild cougars and stuff.
And guys, we were like, oh, we're gonna be able to even get that footage during the day. We're driving back there to get the drone footage over the top. It starts sprinkling right before we get there. Like, wow. And the forecast says that it's gonna start storming crazy hard. Like, of course, dude. You know, we pull up there, the rain stops, the wind stops, and for just enough, like a 10-minute window, that the drone works perfectly. Stuff like that's been going on the whole time. It's really been pretty crazy. And what do you guys think about this? Because it really clicks with me when I go see it in person, read it, right? It's very obvious what this is saying to me now. These languages, they're what we use now. This is all about how all the languages broke from one language. That's what this whole megalithic structure is about. And that's why on the front of the top capstone is Babylonian cuneiform, because that's when it was one single language. And then we got Egyptian hieroglyphs next. And then you have Sanskrit. And then you have ancient Greek, right? Then you have the 8 other languages we use now below that. So the original one being Babylonian cuneiform. So if you go to where the time capsule area is in the ground, this concrete block, at the top it says Babylonian cuneiform made these stones be for a new age of reason. And number 3 on the list is unite the world with a new living language. So literally they're telling you they want to get back to the Babylonian era where there was a singular language. That's what these stones are about. That's why it's got languages all over it, right? And then in the middle, it's just a calendar clock. And,
I don't think there's any. I guess they have this plan of having this new world, new age of one single language, one single world, a small population, all this stuff that's embedded in it. As far as all languages being one, I'm not sure. In the Western tradition, I guess what they're talking about. Yeah, you have first writing with the Babylonians, but we had contemporary civilizations far away to the east, like the Indus Valley and Aboriginal people in Australia speaking different languages for sure, but not a written language. So in that regard, but
okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. It's like I keep trying. Every time I try to go back there and piece that together real defensively, it gets kind of difficult. But often people do say, like, well, one thing we can all agree on, for example, is oftentimes civilizations tell the same exact story. They just have like a different language, so it just says it they have different names for the same figures.
Well, some things you definitely find across many mythologies, like for instance the flood, right? That's a big one that you find in so many different languages. But I'm just thinking from what I know in terms of indigenous languages, like Tupi-Guarani, the Brazilian Indians have, we know that they're there way before the Portuguese, way before anybody came around, probably at a time when there was a world civilization. It seems to be in some of the ancient texts, out there. But their language is very different than these other languages. And it's not, they don't want to include there because officially now it's only the language of Paraguay, right? These guys are globalists. So they're trying to claim, that they are combining all that. It's very theosophical for my taste. You know what I'm saying? It's very much kind of like what Crowley and Blavatsky, all those people are trying to do. They're kind of gatekeepers of, they're trying to take this post for themselves, or they're the masters of esoteric knowledge when they're actually gatekeepers and they're misguiding people. And they're making their selection to have a racial kind of story, like, which is a transhumanist eugenic stuff that's behind this stuff as well. So I kind of draw it to that intellectual tradition or weird cultic, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's odd shit.
All kinds of crazy. Well, one of the other things that I think is really interesting about, the southwestern United States is, of course, the Grand Canyon area. And Jeran, do you remember that guy? He died. His name was Lee somebody. Lee somebody. He ran all the conspiracy pages, and he was, I don't know, he was a little nutty sometimes, but other times he had some really brilliant content. And I'm sure somebody in the chat will probably pick it up. It was Lee somebody, and then he just wound up dying, and they found him dead in his bed the next day. But he had a video that I am blown away that nobody else has. Lee Bracker, thank you, Cami, that nobody else has ever seen. And I think his channel is still up. But one of the videos that he had on there was some aerial shots and some map overlays of the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon, there are these direct alignments with, I think it's Orion, with a lot of the constellations, and they're absolute, unmistakable alignments, with the Grand Canyon. And you're thinking, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's pretty good, for something that the Colorado River supposedly just, willy-nilly carved out. Which I don't believe for one second, nor did I ever, and I'm not sure what
millions and millions and millions and millions of years.
Is it billions of years? Yeah, exactly. It's like, give me a break, man. There's no way that the Colorado River did that.
And you see clearly, I saw one documentary which was by biblical scholars or archaeologists, and they were showing, for instance, in Mount St. Helens, the disaster that happened there actually created canyons overnight with the water that was displaced and other things that happened. So the transformation of the land is, it has to happen fast many times. Many of even with the bones in paleontology, if you look into that stuff, the way the bones appear, they've been mashed together in some sort of mud cataclysm. probably has to do with more volcanology than anything else. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty clear to me that the Earth goes through periods where there are just massive land changes. It's like look how many maps there are that like of the United States, for example, where none of the Great Lakes are present. And then all of a sudden in the 1800s, bada bing, there they all are, right? They seem to come out of nowhere. And it just doesn't seem reasonable to me that 50 to 100 years earlier, they would simply not be there. How could the cartographers
like
possibly
California, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or California being an island. I mean, stuff like that, maybe some of it can be written off as,
Bad
I don't know,
cartography.
bad cartography, but a lot of others, I don't think so. I think that the Earth goes through some really radical changes every few hundred years.
I was going to ask you.
And
So what you said it happened in that video, or the suggestion is that the way the Grand Canyon was formed, its shape has something to do with constellations, or
well, the fact that the aerial photography, and I'll have to, I'll have to dig that video up and play it on a future Globebusters, because I'm pretty sure Lee Bracker's channel is still up, and I can find it. But basically, what it shows is he shows some aerial shots over the Grand Canyon, and then he shows the topological maps, and then he overlays the star map on top of that, and it's unbelievable. These large pillar things absolutely come
Wow.
up and align with like Orion stars.
Seriously,
And
you have kind of geographical correspondences to the star map.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And I've never really seen
Interesting.
anybody else cover that before. And it's like, well, I suppose that could have been all one big scam because, Lord knows there are enough of those, but it's just really weird to see stuff
Well,
like
if
that.
it's true there, it should be true everywhere, right?
You would think, and not just at the Georgia Guidestones and, all these things where, celestial alignments are there through time immemorial.
On purpose as well, by human put it there, right?
Exactly.
The Grand Canyon, it's not something that was built as far as we know so far.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Exactly. And speaking of which, and this is something I wanted to kind of point out, let me actually drop this share, and I'm going to put something else on. So let's go. Is it this one? Yeah. Let me stop this share because I want to share with you guys a video by ZeTETic Backup Channel, which is used to be ZeTETic Truth Tube, and I think this is kind of like one of those videos of the week because what he points out here is really it's really cool. And it's something that we all know about, the parallax discussion, but I think he does it in such a ways that is so amazing that it's just hard to discount this. So let me go share screen.
Yeah, physicists admit that there was no parallax in the fixed stars until, there's a Hipparchus mission by ESA in the 80s, which is totally hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So what he's going to show in this, guys, is, and like I said, this should be obvious to everybody, but he does this so well. Just in this video showing, how parallax works. And, we've all experienced parallax. If you're driving down the highway and you're looking out to you immediately or to your left or to your right, you see the grass or highway pillars just flying by. I mean, so fast they literally blur, right? And then you look out a little bit further and it slows down, and you look out further and it slows down even more. And then you look off to like mountains or, fields way, way off, miles in the distance, and they're barely even moving at all, right? That is parallax. And that is something that that's just something that is absolutely undeniable. That is something that exists. It's a part of optical physics, and it's simply undeniable. And when you take the idea of parallax and you look at what's going on with star trails and apply this line of thinking to it, you realize really quickly that there is no way that there's no way that we're traveling through the universe at millions and billions of miles an hour, covering billions and millions and billions of miles every year, and then having the stars reset every single time. But so I'm going to play this video because I just think it's awesome, and you guys watch it. And hat tip to ZeTETic Truth Tube on this because this is just really killer. So let's give this a watch.
Let's say you are traveling in a car and you observe a tree to the right side of the mountain. But as the car covers some distance, you see that the tree has moved to the left side of the mountain. In fact, objects closer to you are moving faster as compared to the objects away from you. Every day you see this effect and think nothing until it's given some mysterious scientific sounding name. Parallax.
Just need
Okay, so this in particular, and we all saw this alignment happen just a couple weeks ago, right? Where they had the Jupiter and Saturn alignment, and of course Saturn is 1,284 million or 1.284 billion miles from Earth. Jupiter supposedly 551 million miles from Earth, and yet we sat there and there's time lapse after time lapse after time lapse, and there is zero parallax.
So
That's
it's just
impossible.
absolutely nailed it. That's over, right? The planets cannot possibly be the distances that they claim they are.
Not a chance.
End of story, essentially, right?
Yeah, and that's just the planets. Now the stars themselves, when you think about all these different directions that the universe is supposedly going, we've said it a million times, 1,037.5 miles in a circle, 67,000 miles an hour, 500,000 miles an hour around the Milky Way, 1.3 million miles an hour around the Great Attractor, on and on and on, all these different directions. And yet every single year it's reset, and they say, oh, but there is a little bit of parallax. It's like there would be so much parallax that the constellations wouldn't even be the same. There is no possible way they could ever possibly realign with all the constellations that we can see out, going all the way to Pegasus and all these distant galaxies. It's just simply not possible. And
it shows how their model is beyond repair at this point.
it is. It's way beyond repair. And the thing that kills me, guys, is like the brainwashing is so good that you can take otherwise incredibly intelligent people that have really, really good heads on their shoulders, that are so bought into this that they simply cannot see the simple logic that is put forward in this video. It's beyond belief.
It's pretty elegant because it just kind of bang, it's 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, you already got the bang in the head.
Yeah. So let's play the other 2.5 minutes and bring home the rest of the point. But I mean, like I said, this is really, really a good demonstration, and you just have to ask yourself, how could anybody ever get a PhD in astrophysics? Danny Faulkner, and be able to buy into this. It's just not possible. Let's continue. Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
I have one question, Bob. Like from these time lapses,
Hmm.
the star trails, and to Austin, who just did one, you get the full circle in less than 24 hours?
Well, it only looks like it's a full circle. You're
Ah.
only getting like partial circles of each star,
Right. They
and
start connecting.
they look like they're full circles. Yeah.
Right. How much of an actual circle you would get? Would that be then
Well,
divided?
theoretically, if you had 12 hours of darkness, you'd get a half a circle. And of course, that's going to vary depending on the your nighttime, the time of the year, right? In the wintertime, you're going to have longer circles because you'll have more darkness versus the summertime, that not so much, right? So, but yeah,
I mean, according to the ball, anywhere you are on the Earth filming star trails, if the ball is real, you get different kinds of star trails from different positions and stuff because of all those motions happening at the same time. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And they do not, the star trails seem to go along more with a magnetic type of line of force than anything else. And it's anything but what they tell us it is. And that's the most amazing thing, and this simple parallax demonstration, I think it really should open a lot of people's eyes. And I would recommend everybody go out there and show this, to people, because everybody has been in a car, everybody's driven down a highway, you look close to your car, you see the grass flying by, and then you look far away at a mountain, it's going, I mean, that's parallax. Very simple to explain that. And, when you're talking about hundreds of millions and billions of miles difference, in these stars and star constellations, and yet they all track perfectly, it's just not possible that they can do that. It's just not.
It's interesting as well that when you travel at night and you're looking at the moon, I remember doing that as a child a lot. We coming back from the interior of Brazil at night. You're looking at the moon, and that the kind of parallax sensation you have with it seems to obviously indicates it's closer than what they say. But I wonder if you get the same kind of sensation with the sun in the sky, and how you know what I'm talking about?
Not exactly.
Think usually when you're driving across the landscape and you're looking at the moon, it looks like it's following you, or it's right there.
Right.
And but it couldn't be 250,000.
Right, and the sun pretty much does the same thing, right? And yet, we're told by the old cosmology that the sun and moon are both contained within the firmament, so there cannot be that much of a lateral separation between the two. So, yeah, it's just crazy. So.
Yeah, and the moon should get closer, right? Depending, once a month it is moving across the tropics, so it gets closer for some people, and that's clearly it's something you can totally verify, that when the moon is far south, at least from where I am, it looks smaller than when it's coming north, obviously.
Absolutely. So there we go. Okay, so yeah, and I'm kind of all over the place today because I'm just trying to get some of these things in before we call it a show. But there's a couple things that I did want to share with everybody.
Well, Bob, one of the things that you said earlier I thought was interesting is when these proofs that come out that we think are so simple, right? And we can't understand why nobody else gets them. And really, when you think about it, it's because the implications of that simplicity are really the opposite of it, right? I mean,
true.
Everything that comes with it is the opposite of simple, and they like simple. And so if we show them something that is very simply just proof right in front of them, we see too far, the parallax thing, all these different things. If they venture down that road, the other side of it is just a world of hurt, a lot of research, a lot of doubt, and there's so many things that come with it. Those people, they don't want anything to do with that at all.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a paradigm crusher, and when you destroy somebody's worldview like that, that's just something that I don't think any of us are really qualified to understand the psychological implications that really has on people. Now, the elite do, because obviously they've experimented on that and on people, and you've got the MK Ultra experiment, so they fully understand how that affects people's worldview, their paradigm, and and that's all good, but to defy something that is so obvious and such simple logic, it's tough to reconcile. For us, we're just sitting there going, what is wrong with you? It's right there. Can't you see it? Why do you deny this?
And it should really be everywhere if it's the truth, right? It should be simple to verify and should be verified over and over again. It's kind of like the observations of violence. I find that to be very, very convincing because there's just random people from anywhere that can have to make the same observations and know the distances, and that's it. Pretty strong evidence as well, right? When you talk about Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
And again, anybody can verify that, and that's how truth it comes out. It's verifiable by anybody. That's the beauty of it. Other things are more mysterious, of course. What exactly are stars and all the other theories people may have, because we're totally in the dark since the colonial cosmology came along and took over. Zombified people.
Agreed. And they try and steer us away from anything that is anything but the truth. We focus a lot on the electric universe here, the electrical nature of our Earth, and certainly the magnetic properties of it. And that's a lot of the reasons why I think a lot of us follow Ken Wheeler and stuff like that. And it's just amazing that this realm, and I don't know if Nikola Tesla actually ever did say this. About us living in a realm. From what I understand, that may not have been true, but whatever. I think this is a realm. It's not exactly a physical place, in my opinion, and it's not exactly a hologram either. It's kind of somewhere in between. That I think that, when Ken Wheeler talks about it's a place that is created by pressure mediation, the things that we perceive of as solid are akin to like when you take two magnets and put opposing poles towards each other. It feels like there's a barrier there. Sometimes it's like a little squishy and stuff like that. And of course, the closer you put it together, depending on the higher Gauss of the magnet, the harder it is to actually push them to each other, right? Several hundred pounds sometimes it takes. But I think that, that's what the ether is. The ether is being formed into, cymatically formed into our reality here, and our reality, this realm, is one of a magnetic construct. And so in that light, I just wanted to kind of point this out, because this is something I think is really amazing. Now I'm going to show you guys something in a minute, but recall in your mind what the United States Space Force logo looks like.
Mm-hmm. The Star Trek logo.
The Star Trek logo looks like, the swoosh mm-hmm. and the chevron. Mm-hmm. And why is it that so many agencies show us that, especially in relation to space or our place in this realm, right?
Same vector.
Yeah, the vector. So here we have, now this is something that I was just watching Ken Wheeler videos, and this is cool because what he's going to show here is this is a sand dollar, and the sand dollars.
It's like a seashell.
Exactly. Sand dollars have the exact same type of geometric construct that magnetic toroidal fields do, and how they manifest. And this is really super interesting. There is a very, very specific geometry where you have 287.5 degree angles, and then another 85-degree angle, and of course you add all those up and you get 360 degrees. And so I'm just going to let Ken tell you what this is, mm-hmm. and then
isn't this like the skeleton of a starfish? Or am I?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a starfish skeleton. I'm not exactly sure right. what it is, but
picked up a lot of them in Brazil on the beach.
Yeah, but again, look in nature. It's always, mm-hmm. we look around in nature and all this stuff is staring us right in the face so often. So let me play this really quick, and then we'll get back to the Space Force.
Here's the sand dollar, 137.5 degrees. Now, this isn't one of the big missing secrets, but these are the specific golden section angles that magnetism forms. I always wondered early in life why a sand dollar has this specific angle, which is 85 degrees. Well, it's because it's part of natural growth, which conforms to magnetic field lines of divergent centrifugal. magnetism from the center, which is 85 degrees, and the incommensurable point of 137.5077 degrees. Anyway, I hope that was informative. It certainly was not a missing secret, quote unquote, but it's something that most people don't know, that this direction is south towards Antarctica, but that is where the North Magnetic Pole is. And to find the polarity of your magnet, all you have to do is put it on a plate, smear a little bit of oil on there to give it low friction, shake the plate, whichever point points north is the actual North Pole of your magnet, because the geographic north of the Earth is where the South Pole is. So whichever point towards the geographic north is the actual North Pole of your magnet. Very simple, but something most people get confused or don't understand. Actually, most people don't know that at all. You just ask someone, well, where's the North Pole at? And you just ask them, well, which one, geographic or magnetic? The North Pole's at the north, but the magnetic North Pole is in Antarctica. It's in the south. Anyway, download the book, Uncovering Missing Secrets.
Right, and that is not entirely true, because as we know, there is no specific South Pole, and it's nowhere near being opposite of the magnetic North Pole. Of course, clearly because we're not on a ball, but he is right when he says that the magnetic North Pole is in fact the geographic South Pole. I mean, whenever you look at it, because the opposite poles are actually attracting. So that's just something interesting.
Well, the most incredible thing is that the shell is magnetic and can point like a compass, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if the shell itself is magnetic, but he's got a magnet up there that he was shaking around, or he was getting this to do that. So,
okay.
Yeah, but it's just really interesting. So let me get out of this share and then go back into this share screen, and let's just go to this.
It's interesting too, like that trees grow in rings and skulls grow in rings, and things are circling about, right, and making rings. I think it's something to it.
Yeah, there's got the Star Trek logos and all that stuff, and United States Space Force, all that.
Yeah.
And several of the space agencies have this exact same thing, and I just find it really interesting.
Oh my God, I saw something is odd. Would you go back for a second, Bob?
Okay.
Look at that. The Star Trek logo is almost like an upside down cross.
Which one?
To the right, the one that has a star.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's actually got like a 5-pointed star. They've definitely made every variation of it. But it's just interesting that if this is a realm, it would make sense, especially if it's magnetically based, to me anyway, that they would represent it by the very geometry that represents a natural magnet. It's just kind of undeniable, crazy stuff. So hat tip to Ken Wheeler for that. Oh, very cool. All right.
So those angles they are magnetically inferred? Is that from? Okay.
Yes. Now the other thing is that, obviously, as if you followed Cami's work, that we don't necessarily have two specific poles, but we actually have multiple poles.
Mm-hmm.
And quadrupole. We have quadrupole. We have different magnetic layouts that, interestingly enough, when they interact with each other, I don't want to say interfere, but when they interact with each other, they actually start making these magnetic formations that we see on the Earth's magnetic plots, right? Especially if you put them on an AE projection. Then all of a sudden you see this Joaquin and Boaz type of pole or quadrupole. And it also infers that there's another landmass out there that one of these is stationed on, which I think is really interesting. But again, this is the kind of stuff that I really want to kind of focus on and go forward on, because I'm honestly not interested in trying to convince people every single day. Sure, I want to throw stuff in there that says, yeah, this pretty much screams flat Earth. But now I want to go to, now we know it's a flat Earth. Now, what does that mean to us, and how can we use that, in our own lives, or even, even after, you know. And again, it can get esoteric, it can get philosophical, but I think that, you know, running into the same brick wall and repeating the same stuff over and over and over again not only gets really redundant and boring, but, you know, it doesn't allow for people to kind of expand their thinking and share ideas on how this place operates. And that's what I'm insanely curious about. And I think we all are, right? We want to know how this place works. So that's just, you know, what I wanted to say about that. So
I totally agree. It's and yeah, the talking to people or trying to convince people. I mean, at some point you just realize that that's not all it's about, because some people are simply not open to truth. Some people aren't open to seeing things in a different way. So to try and sit there and bang your head against the wall trying to convince those that will never be convinced is just a waste of time.
True, especially when those who will never be convinced are, you know, in my opinion, likely paid opposition, you know, that are there only to detract from it. It's like, you know, that's why I don't engage with them. That's why I do not debate them. I don't engage. I really don't care what they have to say. I just don't, you know. I am, you know, I'm putting out there, just like Jeran, it's like all of us are. We're putting out there the way we see it. It's our opinion. We certainly have our right to that. You know, we're not trying to incite anything by sharing that. But you know, I just think that putting out the same old stuff every day, day in and day out, you know, gets a little redundant if you don't expand on it. You know, just like there are some schools of thought, you know, that go over, well, the fact that, you know, how can you have a pressurized system next to a vacuum of outer space? But then for whatever reason, they don't want to explore what is causing that pressurized system, you know, and the evidence for it, the evidence for the firmament. And I think there's voluminous evidence for it. And we presented it lots of times, right? That's what I'm interested in, right? And I think that's what everybody should be interested in, because then, you know, I think when we start looking at that and we kind of start pairing that with more of the ancient knowledge, you know, Vedic cosmologies and Chinese cosmologies, stuff like that, I think we're going to find a lot of matches where, you know, people really did understand a lot about how this place we inhabit works, right? Maybe not everything, but, you know, that's kind of the fun in putting all this together. So,
well, I mean, the alternative is just going with Catholic Jesuits and their, you know, their whole scheme, which is their model that people just don't even. It's funny because most people know about the Inquisition, know about the crimes of the Catholic Church and so on, but they think that their cosmology somehow then it's rock solid. It's like, I find that fascinating.
I do too, you know, and, you know, I don't think it's funny because they're worried about us and yet they're not, you know, and it's like they're worried about us because there are so many flat earthers out there, and it really is amazing how many are out there. But by the same token, you know, you talk to a lot of people and they are just absolutely, you know, brainwashed, you know, and so, you know, they have enough of those people, unfortunately, that, you know, under the spell, so to speak, that, you know, I don't think that, you know, that helps them out a lot in their, you know, paradigm that they present. But there are definitely more and more flat earthers, and it's amazing because these are the people that have broken the mold and are able to see outside of this, you know, hypnotism. And it really is that. It's just that. It's hypnotism in so many ways. And granted, you know, like I said, it's masterfully done.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and even if you do that, this is one of the things we were discussing the other night, that it doesn't make you immune to different kinds of bullshit, perhaps, and other deceptions, right? There's, you know, it's easy to get a little bit excited about finding out about one thing and realizing it's really all fake, and then actually going overextending when it comes to some other issues as well, right? Kind of becoming a bit too sure about things, whereas the lesson was, hey, you know, calm down, take it easy. You're not always right. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, you know, sometimes it gets you, not you, but you can get your feet off the ground in a way that, because of, I think it has something to do with you can call it trauma of the realization, like you say, when people change their minds very radically, what are the consequences? And I think we've seen it because we kind of part of it in a way. It's all around us. It's kind of like it's part of what made you uneasy. It's part of what that, and the pressure of the system itself that pins people against each other already by default. So and people are doing the best to fight this. So the important thing is for me is to take any kind of aggression, if you will, or whatever, and disapproval as as a lesson.
Exactly, because it's really more. I think the best way to battle this is like more of a passive aggressive type of thing. Not aggressively. I think that violence and that sort of rebellion, it should be the absolute last thing, last option. And it may come to that, and I hope that it doesn't. But I think that if people, and I also think that that's what they want to happen, is for people to get so ultimately turned on each other that it's going to elevate to these type of disagreements and hatred and all this stuff. And I don't want to see it go there. I'm not a violent person. I don't want to see anything come to violence. But I also still believe very much that no matter how brainwashed people are, people the world over still they love their children. They don't want to go to war. They don't they don't view people that love freedom, that respect freedom, as the enemy. That's absurd. That's a
big, actually, there's a whole field of research in anthropology, and you're totally right. But there's like tons of literature on people everywhere, their motivations for living and what they actually want to do, and it's living the good life. That's even a theme, the theme of the good life in anthropology.
That's what everybody wants. They want their freedom, they want their privacy, they want their friends and family. And that's, it took me a while to realize that, because again, in the United States, you're taught constantly that every other country despises you and they're jealous of you. And it wasn't until I got into this whole thing and had people start reaching out from everywhere when you start to realize, wait a second, we're all just the same. Everybody's the same, and they're all friendly, and love from Japan, and I would write back love from California, and just things that is not the way you're taught. They want you to think that the second the U.S. military stood down, that every country that there is would send planes and armies here to destroy us.
Exactly. But the other people, the people in the armies around the world are probably going, oh God, thank God for that, right? Because they don't want to go to war. They don't want to die. They don't want to fight for somebody else's cause. It's like, come on, and that's one thing that I've never understood is, my whole life, war never made any sense to me. Why do people spend so much money on hatred and war? And, when we could take that money and just fix the problem. But, and even if they considered the problem to be overpopulation, and I think that's probably one of their big issues at this point, I think that a better way to handle that, if it's even true, right, would be to educate people more on the fact that, hey, maybe we do have finite resources. We need to, get away from things like fossil fuels, or whatever. But of course, that then takes away their money and their control away from them, stuff like that. But it's like, so it's always a battle, between common sense and, what the elite want. And it's just, I don't know.
So said. Yeah, common sense and what controllers need, right? So I mean, it's sell you on this idea that if your life is bad, it's your fault. It's because you didn't do something correct, or you haven't fulfilled what you needed to. But the whole time, really, that's what somebody who's a tyrant is going to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it reminded me as like an extra thing of community in Africa, and one place that I read about the standard for a leader in a community, right? Because people don't want to have a leader, right? You don't want to have somebody, a chief, but sometimes someone needs to be kind of in charge. Their standard is the one person who's able to to smile with everyone. That's the standard. That's the leader. That's how you find a leader.
Exactly. Yeah.
He is a one-on-one with everyone. It's not different from anybody, and he can laugh with you.
Yeah. And I think people that truly understand and represent their people well are the ones that understand that people don't want to fight and die and have violence and things like that. Nobody wants that. Only the people that have something to gain, as far as power and control, that's who wants that. And I think that's what we need to understand. And there are just better ways to deal with that, I think. And it's difficult. Anyway, all right, so enough of that. I'm going to plug this really quick. You guys may be familiar. Last year we had the Flattoberfest here in South Carolina at the Greenville Shrine Club. And even though it was at a Shriners Club, I mean, that event was a lot of fun. We had lots of people that showed up to it, 300-400 people, something like that. It was crazy fun. And so Karen has managed, apparently there was a cancellation, and Karen has managed to grab another booking of it, at which she has titled the Solar Return Celebration, which will be happening in Greenville at the Greenville Shrine Club and Event Center on March 27th of this year. And I assume she's going to be getting more information on this. This was just done, guys, so this is brand new information. But what you'll want to do is you'll want to go to flatearthfestivals.com, and then you can go to the Solar Return Celebration part, and then you'll want to sign up for the newsletter so that she can keep you guys informed on what's going to happening, who the talent's going to be that's going to be there. I don't think it's going to be quite the same as Flattoberfest in that we're going to have a bunch of flat earth speakers. We might, I don't know, that's up to Karen, and like I said, this is all still pretty new, but I think it's going to be more of centered around like a music and arts type of festival, as well as a big social event, right, that can be done reasonably priced, and everybody really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted to plug that, and you will be hearing quite a bit from us on this as the days pass and we get closer and closer to, March 27th, which will be the week after the equinox, which will be great. And the sun is coming back, man. So there you have it. So, and I think that covers that. And let's see. I think I'm going to wait and hold off on this until our next Globebuster show. But one thing that I do want to talk about coming up, and I've talked many times about how I actually came to the flat earth belief from this particular webpage right here, which is called Cluesforum.info. If you guys don't know who produces this, it's a guy named Simon Shack. And he was, this is all about September 11th. That's what he originally did. But he has since expanded, of course, into discussing the NASA fakery, the impossibility of traveling in space. Now, I will also say that, it's about a 50-50 shot on here about, some of the people don't believe in flat earth and they think it's a psyop, and others are kind of warming up to it. But that's okay, because hey, they put it in. And the thing I really like about this particular webpage, cluesforum.info, is that they are meticulous about everything. They won't let people get away with bad spelling, bad grammar, bad references. Everything has to be meticulously documented, and it is under heavy scrutiny by everyone in the group. They don't allow trolling in any way, shape, or form. And what comes out of it, the net result of what comes out of it, is some beautiful information, and that's why I really like this, for what's in it. Obviously, I don't agree with flat earth being a psyop, but hey, whatever, to each his own. But at least it's presented well. And I think that after I've been reading this for a time, that it seems like it's having its effect, and I think they're starting to sway over. But one of the really excellent threads in this is, does rocketry work beyond Earth's atmosphere? And they talk about a free expansion of gas. And that pretty much seals it up as to how rockets cannot work. There are literally, 50, 60, 70 pages on this at least. And let's see how many are in this thread. Let's go to 55. Yeah, so 55 pages, of, dialogue on this, ultimately explaining in very technical details why rocketry cannot work. And of course, I cover this myself as well. But I think that, in general, these guys do a really good job of debunking NASA and all things space. For whatever reason, they seem to still think that it's still there and maybe navigable or something, or not navigable, but I don't know what they think, to be honest with you. But I do know that their diode is climbing exponentially. So I do want to cover that
or something that you get. You get the kind of contradiction. I mean, Aulis is probably worse, I guess. How can they do what they debunk the moon landings, but then believe all the other crap, which is even worse?
It's unbelievable. I know. And meantime, back at the ranch, we have mainstream publications like Popular Mechanics telling us that, yes, it's possible to jump into a black hole. It's like, oh, for God's sakes,
Oh, man.
What would happen with the spaghettyification and
Oh, that's that too. That is a real thing. It's a real thing. It sounds like they're man. Is this such a troll? Astronomy itself, it's such a joke, man.
Yeah, it really is. And
amazing that it is too. It's one of the things I resisted the most, even after the evidence is so clear. I was like, how can the whole field of astronomy be like this? And then I started piecing things together, and then now it's like it's just computer simulation playing with numbers and math. That's why. But wow.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I think I'm going to hold off on those for our next episode, and I will be putting up some information, on how we're going to do this. But I do want to break it up into smaller, more digestible type of shows, because like I said, guys, it's a bitch doing, putting together 3.5 hours worth of material and trying to keep the ball rolling on all of it. It's very stressful. And I guarantee you, Austin and Jeran
having lots of dedicated naysayers, like, and having to deal with that, it's like, man, it's more than you sign up for, right? You want to do, kind of what got us here in the first place back in the day, right? Excited about the information. Here's what it is. Nobody has all the answers, and there's a ton of interesting stuff that we can go through, that all this drama and all this other stuff is really kind of, you're going to have it anyway. Do you want to dive into it?
Yep. But the one thing I never wanted to be was Flat Earth Sheriff, ever.
Did you watch that? That video I sent you that was a link to like a really old video I made of a bunch of flat earthers?
Yeah, I loved that video. That was great.
Yeah, me too. And it's like funny because you think back to that, and you shouldn't have to miss times like that, and you do, because now if you went through that video, all those people in that video all hate each other in some way. Right? They're all like people that used to be involved, and they got mad, and then they got, so it's like this whole thing that was like great at the beginning with everybody just freely looking for themselves and doing their own research and enjoying those that they watched and enjoying others. And it wasn't all about, you have to be perfect, you have to do this right, you have to say this right, you can't say that, and you've got to be on my side, and you've got to have the same. And that's what it's become. That's what's so sad to me, is that it used to be much more of a free thinking kind of, hey, we've got open minds, let's throw some stuff around and see what we come up with. And then egos get in the way, and it gets quite a bit different.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what has happened. And and from people that I would have never expected it from either. But, that's just, you just get caught by those hooks, and it's like, it's amazing. And it really does take a lot of wind out of your sails when you have people that are, think that they need to be dictating to you what you should be dictating to the rest of the flat earth, which is like, right. I never signed up for that, and I will never do that. That's not why I do this. I do this because I'm a flat earther. I believe in the flat earth. I understand a lot about the engineering, behind what's going on, or at least I can speculate on it to a large degree. And by the way, did you guys hear that interview that Simon, Dan, and all those guys did with the producer Behind the Curve?
Oh, I didn't see it yet. I heard about it.
Taller. I thought you'd be sitting a little taller after that.
God, I couldn't believe they were so kind to me.
Really? What did they say?
Well, they were very,
other than saying that he's a flat earther, but they're like, Bob is great. He's analytical. He would be a great asset to the scientific community, and his engineering skills are very good. He just is deluded by the flat earth. That's how they ended it.
Right.
Exactly. But I couldn't believe they even said that, because, to them, we're all complete and utter retards.
Yeah, I was shocked. They didn't really, the interview was, of course, what you could expect from them. But I thought they were going to go into more derogatory things and negative things. It's like even when somebody brings up Mark and you have like Sam and Dan saying, "Oh, Mark's a really nice guy. He seems really great, really friendly." Just things I never expected them to say. But again, these guys love Flat Earth because it gives them content, and that's how they roll.
Yeah, and isn't it funny that that's exactly what what they accuse us, about, well, it's all about the money for these guys, taking advantage and all this stuff is exactly what they do Flat Earth for, right?
Yeah.
It's just,
Anybody who says that has no brain. I mean, really,
They're dumb. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that's why I jeopardized all of my future employment opportunity to make damn near no money. Was to sell out for money. You guys have really got this one down pat.
That's. I mean, it's in congruence with their logic, right, Austin? It's like,
it's just makes it easier to dismiss us, right? To convince yourself there is no credibility there. There must be some ulterior motive, so that way you don't have to actually go look at what may be uncomfortable.
Avoiding the detail just to have a, what do you call it? Hand wave dismissal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah. We all do this for views, and we do this for money, and it's like anybody's getting rich off Flat Earth. No, we're all losing shit. I lost a house, been working my ass off for 5-6 years, and not complaining because I love every one of them. But having less than 300 patrons, you're like, okay, well, 300 people are supporting what I'm doing. I'll take it. The other day, Rodrigo, I don't know if I told you this, but the other day after hearing about Zach Hubbard's name a few times as I go into his channel, he has links to his Patreon. I go to his Patreon. How many patrons do you think he has?
Hundreds and hundreds. 5,000?
5,000.
Wow, I got that right.
So,
oh my God, he's making a fortune.
Yeah, that's $25,000 a month
Wow.
to tell people lies about sports, and that they, and not be able to actually predict anything, but just kind of go, here's the numbers for this team, and here's the numbers for that team, and then whoever team wins, you go, see, I told you, it's because of the numbers. I could do that. I could go do that easily. So when they talk about things that people do for money, Flat Earth is the very last thing. First of all, you're talking to the least or the most skeptical group of people ever. So, do you think people click on ads from YouTube videos, and do they? No, we get the same, truth should be free and this and that. So it's just funny that they would ever go that direction. It just shows to me, and they have so many evidences of this, where they constantly show their true colors, which is that they don't get anything. They just are making things up, to say, oh yeah, this is why. And they never realize that all that stuff does is reconfirm some things for me that, this is, well, there's a reason why that stuff is sequestered, or, like I don't know if you heard me the other day, Bob, but I was talking to the girl from the Ross and Carrie podcast, Carrie, I guess. And I was talking to her about some NASA stuff. And then I brought up, so, when they do that, it's just like what happened with me in Behind the Curve. And I was kind of going through the reason why, I know it doesn't happen to anybody else, but the reason why Behind the Curve actually made me more of a flat earther, right? Because when you realize the steps these guys have to take to try and
you have to really go out of their way to invent and lie and misrepresent.
If you're trying to prove the Earth's curved, how easy would it be? You have a budget, go do it. But you have to come to my experiment and lie about it. It's like, well, what does that tell you about it? I mean, this is how pathetic that they are. And we see this. We see this from Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse and all these guys. It's just always, and then you have all these ballers that do the same thing, right? If I'm so wrong, then you don't need to make up lies about me. We're talking about things that have been said in the past, or Sean Hufford, or these guys that are just blatant liars. Oh, Jeran's reading from a script. He said his own name accidentally, and things you're just like
when you were talking about my son, Jeran. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, dead serious. I'm reading from a script, and that I accidentally read my own name on the air. And it's like, dude, Bob's son, his name is Jeran. And I was thanking people at the end of my video. Clown. So it's just, every time they get to show their true colors, it's just simply you lie. You can say whatever. Right? You can just lie however you want. Just lie. And that's really the ticket to, I don't want to call it riches, but it's the ticket to get your audience to like you, and to, I don't know. And just for those of us that are not interested in doing that, there's no pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. There really isn't. Being honest with people and telling people how you really feel, it's just not what I mean, think of everybody who's ever been on TV, right? Is anybody that we know on TV or anybody that's famous, are they famous for saying what they really feel like and how they? No, they're famous because they read lines off a script, or they're famous because they read a teleprompter, or
They've
you know,
sold out.
right.
Period.
It's just a big difference. And anybody who tries to tell you that, oh, these people are doing this for money, who's the flat earther that has
No, the thing is, like, they can do anything for money. Only if you're a researcher, independent. Anybody else can also make money on YouTube. They can make as much money as they want, like Simon Dan and whatnot. Only
Right.
you're not allowed to have any sort of something to stand on from your own work, your own hard work from years, right? That is just
maybe I'll take that from somebody who doesn't have their channel monetized and doesn't ask for donations, and if that person wants to say something, okay, but not when somebody's got all these subs and has got channel memberships turned on and it's got Patreons and it's got everything, and then they're going to tell somebody else like, oh, this guy's doing that for money.
Right. It's incredible. I mean, the injustice of this whole thing with censorship and with how it held people back. Because imagine, you're supposed to have grown organically. I mean, Jeran's channel should be now hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers if you were allowed to just do its own thing. And that would have generated, enough for you to invest in the community, to do more experiments, to do all kinds of stuff. And yes, to have your own money, because you deserve it, because that's what a free society is all about. That's what the American dream or all the other kind of stories that they tell are about, your freedom from your own work, for your own hard work.
Bob, did you hear at the beginning of that? Yeah, absolutely. But Bob, did you hear at the beginning of that podcast where he's talking about, flat Earth, it was real big for a while, but it slowly fizzled out. And the reason for that is the Behind the Curve documentary.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with YouTube closing channels, deleting channels, demonetizing channels, no longer recommending channels. Nothing to do with that. No. It fizzled out because of Behind the Curve. Yeah.
That is not even happening, Jeran.
I know.
No, it's not the kind of thing. This is what I'm saying. When you just can make up things like that, you just say things. And of course, everybody who's a globe believer who's listening to this show is going to believe everything that they say. And they know that. And it just allows them to kind of make up the storyline, whatever they want the storyline to be that day. Right. So the next day, it could be, the reason that the flat Earth is fizzling is because of the work Simon Dan's done. And so whatever it is, it's just each day they can make up whatever they want. So it's just because people do fall for it, buy into it. Again, if flat Earth was making anybody rich, then there would be a flat earther that I would know of that has a Mercedes or a BMW.
Wait, isn't it kind of the opposite, Jeran? Don't flat earthers get kicked off of payment exchange platforms?
That's what I'm saying. They're poor. All of us have nothing.
Well, there are obviously there are people who have a lot of money who are flat earthers, but they don't come out. They're not content makers. They're not the people making the people who are watching you. I'm pretty sure there's people who are watching you who have a lot of money.
Right.
Well, support what you like or it goes away, because to put your real identity out there and your face out there and to put your funds and time into it consistently to try to get the truth out there, we have to rally around one another to make that feasible and also to encourage other people to feel more comfortable to do it in the future. Right. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, we've tried that for a while. It doesn't, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, overnight at this point. It's kind of like, it is what it is. But you're so right. Everybody who's in this has had something removed from them. Like nobody's excelling. And like what you just said, Rodrigo, is exactly right. That there's even people, and I've talked about it before, some of them reached out, some of them have come out. I knew about Novak Djokovic, I don't know, months and months before he came out as a flat earther. But when you hear about these people, it's always the reason they don't come out about being in flat earth is because they will lose everything, right? The pilot that we had on. Yeah. So to then try and tell a story that by coming out and saying that the earth is flat, that you're doing it for money. The fact that anybody would believe that, the fact that anybody could buy that story, it just doesn't make sense to me. You can't have two polarly opposite different sides of the story. And if anybody knows, everybody who's gone through this has lost something, has, there's not gain.
Yeah, the injustice of that is that the contrary is true. But what I'm trying to say is that there's nothing wrong with making money from your own hard work. And that's right. That's what I said. But what they accuse you of is precisely the opposite of what actually happened.
Right.
And that is totally grotesque. Right. And if these people actually believe they have the truth as well, which is, that you go back to this whole standard. You call it whatever you want. It's kind of like I have a line about NASA. Science is what we say it is, because it is what it is, right?
Yeah, and it's and it's funny because they will tell you that, oh well, no, whenever we find something else that works better, then we're happy to dismiss our old models, and that is so not true. They don't do that. Otherwise they wouldn't be sitting here making ridiculous statements like, yeah, you can jump into a black hole, no worries. It's like, what? What happened to you? You would be crushed under your own weight instantly. How could it possibly be? Well, because it's bigger. Oh, well, there you have it. It's just unbelievable. But what they do, right?
Well, like with this whole thing, for me, what I've had to do, or at least how I've found contentment with it, is maybe it's a blessing in disguise, right? Where your intentions don't get watered down with stupid temporal monetary incentive, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of hard to understand that because it takes so much time, and you get so much backlash, and then you get money, you throw it right back to trying to help people. But if you genuinely are just trying to help people and get the truth out there so they can at least make their own mind up, and you place the importance of that over money, right? Like, that's a blessing in disguise, in my opinion, because it would actually become prohibiting. And the truth is, like, there is a creator, and he provides for you, right? And so the way that I see it is just do what's right and live with what comes of it. And oftentimes the people with the most money, we all know, seem to be the most lost. So
there you have it. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
well,
money can never be the motivation for anything. It's kind of like what you see also one thing I really love about some ancient authors is that their motivation for writing, whatever it is, maybe a super complex dialogue with lots of research, citing lots of books, it's for a friend or it's for a brother. That's the motivation. It's like, you asked me about these things. I went through this whole effort to put it together.
I don't think it's so bad to have money as a motivation for something, Rodrigo. I mean, if you're going to do something for money, then do it.
Just for money,
yeah,
what I mean?
But truth, on the other hand, is not something that should be, used for money.
That's every job is for money. Nobody would be.
Yeah.
I mean, if people really thought about it, some people would be like, "Oh no, I'd still work my job if I won the lotto. Oh, maybe for a month."
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like the deep motivation, right? This guy, of course, if you, you may be doing a work because you're also getting the money, but I hope that's not the only reason why you do it. If that would be a very unhappy place, if you know what I'm saying, you're doing a job that you don't really love. The ideal is that you're doing something you love, and there is a value for others, and that they're willing to help out, and because they're getting something out of it. That's how I see it.
Or people who get in this do it forever too, at first, without any thought of money,
right?
Because it's just not there. There's not.
You have to. Yeah, I started speaking because it's part of what I wanted to talk about as a research, and I knew it was research that was taboo. Right. Nobody was going to do it. My motivation is simply to tell the stories of the people I was talking to and not misrepresent them, and that was it.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of how you got started. I remember our first interview. We went till like 3-4 in the morning.
That's right. Yeah, it was long. Yeah, and it was amazing. It's still out there. These conversations, I still have to reissue them again. But I took all the time I had that I could be putting on other things because this was important to me. That there's like you say, there's been absolutely no gain to be had from this. Actually, the contrary, I lost a very important job because of it. Because after I made a song, this guy just basically, jumped out of like a dream project that we had been working on for years, and it's stalled now because of this. But it's like what my partner says. He says exactly what Austin's saying. Everything comes in its right time. God will provide, essentially. If you're doing the right thing, and there's always the right time for things. So
yeah, and like this may even sound corny, all of this to some people, but the truth is, I look at it like my payment is I get emails that are incredibly sincere about how they never even considered the possibility that we could have been lied to about where we lived,
yes.
Or that there could be a creator, and you get those type of emails, and you every time you get one, like, that's why I do this.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes you get something that I mean, the gratitude is so obviously there. It's just like, man, you have no. And I tell that to people too. I'll get a comment like that in the chat or something somewhere, and I'll just say, you have no idea how much that means to me to hear, what you just said, because it's huge. It really is, and we need a lot more of that. Because
Yeah, exactly. You'd be
wow, do we take a
surprised how
lot of
much.
crap.
Yeah, exactly. People would be surprised how much those mean to us. Probably, the sincere ones. And you can tell which ones are sincere. But and I say just go with that, bro. Because there's a creator, that means he's certainly not limited to some finite physicality or perception of quote unquote time or anything like that. So the creator knows all, right, and knows true intentions, and just pay it forward, and that's the only way you're going to be able to cope with going through what I would consider just further censorship and ostracism, right? You have to have some type of, dare I say, spiritual guide or meaning that's going to keep you strong. It's got to be deeper than this temporary material gain, or you're going to go crazy.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So true.
And people have gone crazy. You can find their accounts of this, even people, there's many accounts of people who are in financial market, and they start taking, I'm not saying that's the right path, but they end up taking ayahuasca and suddenly they have a complete change of vision. It really doesn't really happen the other way around. And what is, just try to finish that. Sorry, not to taking too long. What it means to me is that people want to be at that place, what Austin's talking about, connected to the creator and the creation, whatever is the form that they have it in their minds. And the system itself just drives you away from it. Everyone naturally would just gravitate towards it, towards nature, towards where we are and each other, right? But is the system itself designed to do this? And it's a horrendous thing, I think. But that's a bad word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're at least we can kind of, like Austin's saying, when you get that kind of account from someone that's sincere, what else you need?
Yep. Agreed. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it on that. For those of you who are Jeranism or Globebusters Patreons, Jeran and I are going to be doing it. I don't know if Austin and Rodrigo, brain cramp, Rodrigo are going to be joining us or not, but we will be doing a Patreon stream at in about an hour and 15 minutes from now.
3:30. And Bob, also, if you'll do me a favor, I don't know how many people have Telegram, but I just put a link in the private chat.
Okay.
If you could tell people about that. Oh, I guess you don't really need to tell people. I guess I could put it in both chats myself. But what it is, and it seems like people are really happy with it so far, is I've always had people ask me, when can we find you? How do we know when something's going on? How do we know where you're going live? So I've created that Telegram channel, which is t.me/Jeranism show. And so what I've promised to do is 30 minutes before any live stream, I'll always go on there and drop all the links so that people who have the notifications turned on Telegram can just get notified before I go live anywhere, no matter where it is, no matter if I'm uploading a video. Same thing with Globebusters. So today, a half hour before the show, I went there and dropped the links. So people this way, because the one question I get is, how do we know when to find you? How do we know when you're not having a show? And it's difficult for us because I'm like, well, where do I go? Do I go to, Globebusters D Live, say no show today? Go to my D Live, no show today. Do I send it to patrons, no show today? Do I then go to YouTube and try and, it becomes this kind of, no matter which direction I go, I don't feel like I'm reaching everybody. With this way, if there's going to be no Globebuster show, it's something I can easily get on and inform everybody on that Telegram group. Or if we're not doing a Thursday show, or I'm not doing a Friday show, or I'm doing a special show on Saturday night or on Tuesday or whatever. It's just a place. And then after the show's done, so let's say like on Friday we did the lounge. So half hour before the lounge, I sent all the links to where it would be live. And then as soon as the show was ended and I uploaded it to Odyssey and my website, then I went back in there and said, okay, the YouTube version is gone. Here's the link to Odyssey. Here's the version on D Live, and here's the version on my website. So I think it's something that people will enjoy, and it's free, easy to join, t.me/Jeranism show. And I will always keep you updated of what we're going to be doing.
Perfect. Beautiful. I dropped the t.me link in there, so hopefully they can click on that. And yes, I noticed that you had a notification about Globebusters doing a show, and that's awesome. And we got over 1,400 live viewers on between the streams today, so that's pretty good. Not too shabby. So wait. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to be a wrap for today, and go around one last time, and then we will see the Jeranism Globebuster patrons on the patron stream, and I'll be sending out those notifications as soon as I get a link from Jeran, and we will see you over there. So let's go ahead and wrap it up with you, Rodrigo. You take it off first, and what do you got coming up, sir?
Probably gonna do. There's quite a lot of things I want to be annotating things and modeling things, and also doing some work that I've been doing. And I'm gonna be I have a ton of material kind of lined up to present on my stream. So it's just finding the right time to do it. When given all the stuff I have to do, but it's gonna happen, and it's lined up. The usual stuff. Not so much. I don't know. Not so much space. A little bit of chess. Some music coming this week. Jeran's gonna have to give me a heads up when he wants to get a chess lesson. See what happens with that. If he's gonna break the shell, and we'll see. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. And Austin, you are in Texas, you said, and headed where?
We are in the Atlanta area.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. And then we're going to Ocala Monday tomorrow, then Orlando and Tampa midweek. So yeah, and we're going to try to give everyone dates like that, a week or two out. We can't really promise more than that. But yeah, so going to Ocala tomorrow should be fun to get down to Florida, get to the coast, long distance observations, etc. And also have to say a few things. Sub to Be the Change, no spaces on YouTube, Be the Change. In case I get striked, I won't be able to go live for a week, so we have to get that to 1,000 subs. I think he needs a couple hundred more to hit 1,000, so we could at least go live if they hit my channel. Certainly if we're in public talking and we get caught up and cover some forbidden subjects, let's say. And to share the videos you enjoy to combat censorship, of course. Support what you like or it goes away. Email me or Nathan at wits@protonmail or flatterflyers@gmail.com to get on the tour list. You can shoot us your phone numbers and we'll basically vet you, and then we can hang out. And then when people come onto the RV, we have Jeranism shirts for sale, Globebuster shirts for sale, Zen and Edward Hendry Flat Earth books, shirts, flyers, USB cards with books, stickers. And we're also going to set up demonstrations on the RV. So when we meet up with flat earthers, they can come on and we'll show them the demonstrations that are inspired by Cami. So a lot of stuff going on. Should be cool.
Austin, do you know if Nathan got my address to send a USB stick?
I don't, but I can definitely check on that right after the show, my man.
Yeah, I sent it to him. Sorry.
One thing I was going to suggest, Austin, is, you guys might want to take a lesson from the guys that did the European tour, Jason the Disbury family and all those guys that did that. And I was just thinking it would really be cool if you guys had some really large, setups for displays that you can, people can kind of scan along, and you can set those up fairly easy. But somebody has to be handy making those things up.
On the van, like they had it, you mean?
Yeah, remember how they did it the European tour? I mean, those were awesome because people would come up and they'd look at that. And I think it tends to hold your audience in place more when you have something that they can kind of scan and not pretend like they're paying so much attention to you.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can set things up outside the RV or on the RV. That actually reminds me, we also have research flat earth stickers that we're putting across the top of the RV so we can have shots from the top. We're putting a giant QR scan code on the sides of the RV, so when people in traffic or anything, they can scan it. It's going to give the links to all the ways to support and all the channels and a bunch of good flat earth information and channels, etc. So we're going to do that for sure. Actually wrapping the RV is crazy expensive, but we're going to get some stuff made. And then when it comes to demonstrations, we're working on that. And I think that's a good idea, where they don't feel so much pressure like they have to answer every question or whatever. They're being grilled. It's just a relaxed atmosphere. They can pay attention to a demonstration. Is definitely the atmosphere.
Like a museum exhibit, people, and that worked really well for those guys, Jason, the Disbury family. And yes, you are famous, Jason. I saw your comment in there. You guys did a great job on that. And I think it would be a good thing for the Americans to take a few lessons from you guys on how you did that, because you did it epic, guys. So there you have it. Cool. All right, so let's go around. I guess then that leaves you, Jeran. What's going on for you?
Another day, and we got patron stream after 3:30. So hopefully everybody does that. I'll probably send out one more link in case you guys missed it, probably in chat, in the Patreon chat. And then so next Sunday the same thing, and should be a fun week coming up. But looking forward to see everybody and have some fun conversations this evening.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. And as far as me, I'm still trying to get organized, and I'm going to try and get Globebusters in a little bit different package and see how that works out for us, and some different, just break it up a little bit, because honestly, we've done the same format for several years, and although it has worked well for us, like I said, it's just really difficult to keep that up, especially at that intensity. And doing an hour show, honestly, I could do that standing on my head, and I like that a lot better. I'm not so pressured to have to do something like that. So there you have it. All right, guys. So we will call that a show, and so we will catch you guys on the next broadcast. Probably going to be next week, would be my guess. But if not, like I said, pay attention to the link that Jeran passed along, and we will try and make our intentions on shows better known to everybody for sure. So until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind, because there is truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.